little demonstration of the two-star team test. And first of all, I'm Richard Waygood. I'm chef de keep and coach with Jonathan Chapman for the two-star team. And a little bit of history behind the competition itself. Started in 1953, and Team GB first took place in 1991, where that was held in Sweden. It's called, or it was called the Royal Riders, which was actually a mistranslation. It is actually now retitled as the CIC Two-Star European Championships. And the mistranslation, Royal Riders, meaning cross-country riding, and when that landed in the office, it was just a little bit of a mistranslation. So CIC Two-Star European Championships. And it's run in a slightly different format from any other events in championships, and it has an extra phase, and you're about to see that extra phase this morning. The extra phase is in fact the team dressage test, and as you'll see here, 6 riders compete within the team. And on the first day of competition, a normal veterinary inspection, and then on the first day of competition, we have the team test with all 6 riders riding the test at the same time, and the test is called out by the team captain or senior coach or head chef de keep. So Jonathan is calling out the test this morning, and the riders work off with the command. And it's one of the very few places in horse sport where you really do have to work as a team. The team competition is a wonderful opportunity to get the horses settled, but also for the riders and for the horses, it requires absolute accuracy, teamwork, and ensuring that the horses go in a really correct way. And when you see the team test itself, it always impresses me how they put all the movements into this test. The movements are in the test, and how whoever designed it, they did a wonderful job, because we see everything from medium trot to a little bit of lateral leg yield and some medium canter, with everybody going at the same time. So on the first day we have the team test. Then the second day comprises of the individual tests, which are of 2-star level. So the second day individual test. And then on cross-country day, it's a 2-star CIC championship course. So it's really maximum dimensions, and it's very, very technical. So it's a real championship track. And then on the last day, on the jumping day, the show jumping day, you have a normal vet's inspection, which is followed by the show jumping. So the only addition to this is the actual team test itself to a normal 3-day event championship. So you can see Jonathan now putting the riders through their paces. And the judges is judged by 3 judges, and they're actually looking for everything that you would look for in a normal test, but in the addition to that, they're looking for the riders keeping their dressing. And this movement here, the incline across the score, is normally carried out in medium trot, and today you'll see that we'll gradually build up to that, because as I said, it's a demonstration, but it's a wonderful opportunity to give the riders and horses some exposure into this sort of atmosphere. The test itself is carried out in sitting trot, but for the horses training this morning, we'll remain in rising trot until they're really soft and relaxed. And then later on, at the end of the session, we'll run through the test from top to bottom. In 2011, Team GB won their first gold, and the championships were held here at Aston Le Walls. So our first team gold. And we also won an individual silver, and that was won by Mary Ann Carpenter. So team gold and an individual silver. So our best championships to date. Next year, in 2013, the championships will be held in Austria. hoping that we'll have a equally as tough competition, and the cross country is of the true championship standing.
Make sure you ride along the short side your own turning point.
When the riders are trotting around now, what Jonathan's looking for is that they maintain their dressing, one horse's length between files, so they're keeping one horse's length between distances, and now they're coming up the centre line and they're preparing to halt on X for the rein back. Now if you just note now, each rider should be 1 yard from stirrup to stirrup, or in the military we used to call it 1 yard from knee to knee. We haven't gone metric yet. And as I said, this is great training for the horses. You can see a couple of fidgety horses here just being allowed to settle. So Jonathan's now just briefing the team, and what we're going to do now is we're going to come through and do that warm-up once again. So we'll move off and just watch the way that the riders move off. They move off from the right.
On the right, rein back, 3 steps, now.
Now, into the rein back, 3 steps of rein back, then the right-hand file, the leading file, forward into trot. And this is probably it. This is the only, in fact, part of the test which is a little bit technically incorrect. Because as you'll see, when the team rein back, normally from a rein back, you proceed straight forward into an upwards transition. Here in the test, you actually do the rein back, and then only the leading file proceeds directly, whereas the other horses are asked to stand still until it's their moment to walk forward. So, into halt once again, and there's a judge positioned at B, so he can see whether he was dressed off from right to left. Jonathan coming down to check now, and I can see from here that they've not really halted between E and B. So the 3 steps of rein back, 2, 3, forward into working trot, and tracking left at the boards. And you can see here a couple of horses getting a little bit anxious, a little bit fresh on this movement. Now when we go forward now from Bleinheim onwards, we've currently been training with a squad of over 24. And at Christmas we'll cut that squad down, we'll do a little bit of selecting, and then after Christmas we'll start training with a squad of 18. And the team itself consists of 6 team members and an additional 2 riders who ride with the 6 to compile 8 riders in total, 8 individuals. So everybody will compete as an individual, and only 6 riders of the 8 will compete in the team.
Next long diagonal, on the right will drop, right across deck. Chance to have a breather. All right, drop.
And this morning we have a selection of different horses, and as our leading file we have Jodie Seddon. And Jodie's riding Ermite, who's an 11-year-old with 24 points. And Jodie recently was 9th at the intermediate at Aston Le Walls, and she was 13th in the 1-star at Hartbury. There we just see the transition into canter. And our second file, Tanya Viol. Tanya's horse, you saw it there, just had a little bit of a sense of humour when he popped into canter there. So the canter now just looking at the same qualities that you'll be looking at in a normal test. The horse is actively going forward, not in fall time, and the canter wants to be working like it needs to be looking as if they're going somewhere. And the secret of all tests really is to get the feeling that the horses are naturally taking the riders forward. So the whole thing should look effortless. Here we go then, medium canter.
Keep going. Working canter.
Back into working canter now on the C marker. And on Jonathan's voice. So I just want you to listen to Jonathan's voice on the next medium canter. And ladies, we'd like to see a little bit more this time, please. So here we go then. Watch Jodie. As Jonathan says now, she will go into medium canter. And everybody moves together. That's very good. And then on the next word of command, now. Now and back into working canter. We want to see a clear transition from working canter to medium canter. So everybody moves at the same time. And then you saw then we had another clear transition from canter to trot. And that was a little bit sloppy, Jonathan, so I think we should do that again. I said that was a little bit sloppy, so I think we should do that again. Fantastic. It takes me back to my army days. So here we go again then. So listen now, Jonathan's cautionary word of command. He will prepare the ride to go into walk. Good. Much better. Well done. So we're looking for exactly the same as a normal test. Paces, obedience, freedom and regularity. But we're also looking at the riders work in harmony and they keep their dressage. So we're looking forward now. And now, I think you'll agree, first time really these horses have been put under any pressure like this. And looking round to the left, and they're starting to settle. A half circle left, a half circle right, ready for a canter transition. Very good. Well done, ladies. And the test, as I said before, it's really well put together, because the test itself, once you're into canter, then there's two circles at the half markers and the E and B marker, depending on which rein you're on, where you get the opportunity to settle the horses down. That's good. And now this year we've had about about 8 training sessions so far. Of which the riders that you see here would have been to about 4 of them. So really this is probably their 5th time that they've put this test together. So we're ready for the medium canter once again. And now let's have you moving forward a little bit more, Camille. Camille's the 4th file. That's very good. Okay, so it was a very good medium canter, ladies. Good medium canter. Well done, Camille, for keeping closed up.
Same again.
But we want to see a much clearer downwards transition. Before that downwards transition, draw the upper body back, drop the heels, and ask the horses for a little bit more engagement. So, moving together as a team, as if you're tied together with bits of string. Covering ground. And back into working canter. And again, that's got a little bit of work there. So a bit of work to be done over the winter with that downwards transition. Clean transition into trot. Whoa. Not those extra steps, ladies. I appreciate that you're coming downhill, but it's even more important that you get the horses up and off the forehand. So here we go then, Jonathan, just going to repeat that transition. A lot of repetition in training the horses, and exactly the same for the riders. Horses are creatures of habit. If you do the same things in the same way, a little bit of repetition, they start to understand, and here we go. Much cleaner transition. Well done, ladies. Good, and much better prepared. Yeah, and that's too progressive. That's got to be, ladies, that's got to be on that word of command now into walk. So you get the cautionary word of command, prepare you, and then work on the word of command now into walk, and it's every horse must be hitting walk at exactly the same time. Now in the walk itself now, let's have the horses just stretching their top lines just a little bit more so they're covering more ground. And very tactfully, if you look at Camille's horse, who's the fourth file, Camille will just very tactfully cut the corner of the arena off to make up a little bit of ground, but she's got to do this so discreetly, because at the end of the day, you don't want your judges picking this up. And also, at the same time, the leading file, so the leading file Jodie, has got to make sure that the pace, it might compromise her horse's way of going a little bit, but she's got to make sure that the pace is a pace that suits all the horses in the ride. So it's a big responsibility being the leading file. And in third place we've got Clemmy Ship, and Clemmy is riding Mighty Mouse, or Mighty Moose on a bad day. And he's a 9-year-old, or she's a 9-year-old. She's got 31 points, and she's been in the top 10 place in intermediates at Pontypool and Salperton. So here we go then. Jonathan's going to run through a test now from top to bottom. And forward into trot. Okay, so enter at A. So when we come into the arena, the advantage now that we're going up the hill, which obviously helps a little bit. And the judge at C should just see one horse coming up the centre line. So Camille, who's riding in fourth place, she's riding the 10-year-old, Mr. Rosebery, and he has 32 points and was second recently at Pontypool Horse Trials in the intermediate class. So distances now, riders looking up the centre line, the judge at C, all he should see is the leading file, should just see Jodie coming up the centre line. That's a good active trot. A little bit close there, Anna. Anna's riding in fifth place. You can see Anna's horse just a little bit keen and a little bit fresh here today. We'd just like him just to be a little bit more over his top line, a little bit more over his back. But after all, as I said before, it's great familiarisation for the horses today, and it's a wonderful exposure for them. That's good, Anna. That's much better there. Good. So coming up the centre line now for the first halt. And this time they will halt stirrup to stirrup. Now we give the riders a little bit of leniency in the early days of training, and as you can see we've let them halt with just a little bit more room because we don't want anyone getting kicked today. But as the training continues, we get closer and closer, and eventually they will halt with their stirrup irons touching. So stirrup to stirrup, or in the army we used to call it 6 inches knee to knee. So straight forward now. Each rider will ride his own line and will then track to the right. So we're into the test proper now. Anna's riding Who's Harry, 13-year-old with 40 points. Recently placed at Aston the Wolves. And now we're into our first movement. And this is a 5-loop serpentine. It's a wonderful exercise here because it just allows the horses and riders to settle into the test. All the time the riders have got to be really aware of what's going on around them. They've got to focus on the leading file. And as I said before, it's very good teamwork because if you get too absorbed in what's going on underneath you, then you lose your focus of what's going on around you, and suddenly you find that you're not dressed off and you're not working with the remainder of the team. So we get a right incline coming up now. A little bit of shoulder fall before this right incline. Now working on Jonathan's voice, looking left, and this would be carried out in medium trot. Straight up the centre line and into a leg yield to the right. A little bit out of balance there, Jodie. Quarter slightly trailing. Just remember in the leg yield, the horse should remain straight through his body, with a little bit of flexion away from the direction of travel. So the horse moves forwards and sideways. Leg yield can be carried out in both sitting and in rising trot. Talking here technically on the foot. And in addition to that, the leg yield, say as it doesn't do collection, so it's an early lateral movement, but at the same time I slightly disagree, because you need a series of half holds before you go into the leg yield, and a half hold is a degree of collection. So there was our second medium trot, back up the centre line, and now a leg yield to the left. Riders should be looking across to the E marker, because the judges will be looking from the front of from C and from the corner of the arena to the left of the C judge and from B, and they're looking to see that also that the movements are technically correct, but the riders are also dressed off with one another. So here we go, setting up now for the rein back. And it really requires 100% concentration, because you're dealing with not just six minds, you're dealing with 12 minds here. So it takes a lot of concentration, because if one person gets it wrong, then it affects the remainder of the test. So that's good holds now from our first four. Just get the horses standing round. And just before we rein back there, Jonathan, we'll just take this as an opportunity just to get the horses a little bit more attentive, and just make sure, ladies, that the horses now are standing on the bits. Good. And just maybe just a little massage of the bit, just to get them. That's good. Well done. Very good.
Right. Prepare to rein back 3 steps. Rein back now.
1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're looking for straightness. Even steps, horses not going into fall time, and the judge at C can see how straight the horses are. And that was good, ladies and gentlemen, so very good for this part of the horses training. And you can see here how the riders have done a very good job of riding forwards and automatically ending up at one horse's length between file. Camille just open out slightly. And at the back of the ride today, we've got Caroline Smith, and she's riding Para Tie, and it's a 10-year-old, 145 points, so he's done quite a bit, this horse. And this horse, and with Caroline, were 10th in the championships last year. Caroline rode as an individual, so they were 10th in the championships, and he was 4th at Summerley Open Intermediate and 6th at Wellington into Open Intermediate recently. So a transition there into walk, and you saw that transition was very clear there. The middle of the walk is just a little bit still. It's like to cover a little bit more ground, but as I said, it's a little bit of a compromise to make sure that the walk fits all of the horses. But at the same time, we want a good marching pace. The horse is stretching across the top line. So remember, in walk, we all use walk as a rest pace, but at the same time, you've got to be prepared to work your horses in walk as well. That's very good. And forward together as you cross the centre line. So here we go then. Back up the centre line, ready for the incline. Looking at the leading file, working together, preparing to canter, and canter it there. And I think I just put the kiss of death on Tanya then, because I said when prepared to canter, I think your horse anticipated. So 2 circles now in working canter. Here we go. So a little bit more now, Tanya. He's just a little bit more over his back and just working through a bit more. Now they've settled a little bit. Just be a little bit braver in the canter. Let's have them working a little bit more underneath you, so their withers come up. That's it. So there's a little bit more jump in the canter. Come on, a little bit more of a challenge. Just challenge them a little bit. That's good. Very good. So I want to see that something's happening. Just be careful the bottom side of the circle, ladies. You're riding a rather egg shape down at the bottom side of the circle, Jodie, because you're letting the horses pull out through the shoulders and fall down the hill. Here we go then. Good, a little bit stronger in the transition next time, please. And let's see a very clear downwards transition. Look now, look at the leading fire, and together back into the working canter. Not bad, not bad. Okay, a little bit late there, Clemmy, so a little bit more with the upper body before the transition. That's good, Troll. Good. Very good leading fire. So here we go. This is what we call the S's, or changing the rein by a half figure of 8. The old pony club expression, looking round. That's ragged. You're not looking round, Judy. And you can see it's a very clever way to put the riders into canter, but a little bit lost there on that half circle right, half circle left. So now we go back into 2 circles, and those 2 circles yet again, get the horses settled. And now don't let your horses go flat, ladies. Now you can start putting a little bit of power into the counter, a bit of elevation, still working the horses over their backs, but let's have that hind leg working. That's very good. Just a little bit round the Jodie, just massage his neck just a little bit, just like there. That's a little bit more leg now. So the front end, the withers come off the ground. Good, and the bottom part of the circle again, watch they don't fall out on this bottom part of the circle because of the slope of the arena. Now we're going to see a really good transition this time, ladies. At the back of the ride, you're going to work at the same time as the front of the ride. Here we go then. And we're away. Come on, come on, come on. Let them cover ground, let them stretch their top lines. That's very good. Very good. You need to make a little bit more of a statement with the upper body before the downwards transition, and then we'll see the horses come underneath themselves. Whoa, good. So here we then, coming back up the centre line now, ready to halt at G. That's looking fabulous there, Jodie. Very nice trot. And then halting. And normally this would be stirrup iron to stirrup iron, but today, and for training purposes, just getting the horses used to it, we allow them at the moment just to stay a little bit more opened out. And I think you'll agree, ladies and gentlemen, that was a really good effort, considering that was the first time this has been done in public, and we're still a year away from the championship. Very good. And just make a fuss of the horses just there, please. What we'd like to do now is just going to come back and do that halt once again, and we're going to get stirrup arm to stirrup arm this time. So there's the team test. So the team test.